Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, the 6th day of July, 2023. I hope you're safe and healthy today, and that your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field who, along with the first responders, are out here every day risking their lives to save lives. And those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean and disease-free. Those also that make deliveries of important things like mail for our convenience. Double blessings upon the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children that are unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, double curses on the profiteers, and double curses on the perverts that create this industry. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and mostly children homeless in streets of the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, Summer League is about to start. I'm always excited about the Knicks Summer League. This year, a little less than most years, because most years I'm excited. Prior to this 3-year regime, I was excited with the hope that somebody good will come along, or some new rookie can help be the savior or help the Knicks. But I gotta say, what I have noticed about this particular regime is that of all the regimes that I can remember going back 50 years, this is the best in terms of preparation, in terms of due diligence. This regime that we have here, led by Leon Rose, is the best. This is why I get unnerved sometimes when people criticize them, because you ain't see. If you are criticizing this regime, you obviously have not been a Knicks fan long. Because if you remember previous regimes, there've been good ones, there's been terrible ones. This one overall is the best one. And this Summer League is an example of their due diligence. So right now, as I'm speaking to you, we talked yesterday about the 2 ways that the Knicks could go. That they could just continue from right here and run it. Or they could add another piece and go with a definite 2 5-man rotation, a 10-man rotation, 2 5-man units. They still right now are looking at various options for them. And that the key thing to this is who that person, that player would be. If this player is a very high level NBA player, somebody that's been all NBA, or as in the case of OG Anunoby, all NBA defense, that would mean that one of our guys is going out. And we talked about in the beginning of the summer, if you recall, that there are 4 prime trade bait or trade pieces that the Knicks would have that would bring in a major player. That would be Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, we talked about Obi Toppin, and Emmanuel Quickly. Those would be the 4 guys. It's very apparent to me that they're keeping Quickly, and they should. They're keeping Quickly, and whether he wants to leave or not is a different story. I don't think he's yelling as loud as Obi, because Obi was in a worse position than Quickly in terms of getting that first bag. Quickly's in a position right now where he's going to get the bag. It's just a question of, is he going to get the starter bag or is he going to get the 6-man bag? But he's going to get a bag. It's going to be at least $80 million to $100 million, and he's going to get that money. So that he can sit tight for another year. Even if he was to sign an extension this year, it won't go into effect till next season. So he could sit tight. Obi had to make a move because he's 25. This is the year for him to get that back. Okay, so they did him a nice solid by letting him go to Indiana. That's what Leon Rose did. They did Obi solid. Some of y'all still don't want to receive that, but that's your problem. But they really did him a solid. It wasn't about what we were getting back. It was about helping Obi. So Obi got his starter position. He's going to get in position to get heavy minutes in Indiana, playing with a top flight point guard in Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to be in a position to get his bag next year. So now you're talking about what type of player you're going to add if you add one. If you're going to get an OG Anunoby, it's going to cost you RJ Barrett. And that would be the 2 players that would have been going out, RJ and Obi. It's going to cost you RJ Barrett. It is not going to cost you Julius Randle. They're not sending Julius Randle to Toronto for a multitude of reasons. Number one, Toronto don't need Julius Randle. Number two, the Knicks, Masai Ujiri wouldn't trade OG Anunoby for Julius Randle. He just wouldn't do that. So you're dealing with RJ Barrett as the centerpiece in an OG Anunoby trade. So that would be the one going out. That's the highest level type of player. The other guys we talked about, KP is off the table. Harrison Barnes is off the table. Mikal Bridges is off the table. None of those guys are coming now. Jeremy Grant is signed with Portland. I don't know what Portland's going to do. I have no idea why they signed him to that big contract. If Dame Dollar was going to be leaving, makes no sense. But this is what they did. I don't think the Knicks would trade RJ for Jeremy Grant either. The money is not as big a deal because Grant is going to be in the $30 million range. I don't see the Don getting a $40 million player right now. So that's not going to happen. They backed out as they should, and they did the due diligence. Some of y'all don't understand due diligence. Due diligence means you make a phone call. As I told you, they should do with Mikal Bridges. They make a phone call. Doesn't mean anything gets done. It just looks like you just ask the questions, you see what the total situation is, and then you make a decision whether you can or we will move forward. They looked at PG-13. It was a heavy contract, but when he started talking about extension, they backed off as they should. So whenever you see stuff in the news about them talking about a player, you must understand this is due diligence. This is what makes this front office really good, or one of the things. They're going to look, they're going to talk, they're going to analyze before they make a decision. It's not going to be a snap decision. It's going to be a wise decision, a sound investment-wise decision. So they looked at PG-13. No, they decided no, they don't want that. Okay. Then you had the whole CAA versus the other, I forgot the other one. But anyway, the CAA versus Clutch. With Levine, okay, fine, move on. So now they're looking at, they got the last real top flight guy at that spot that can play the 3 or the 4 is OG Anunoby. So if they can get him for RJ Barrett, they're going to look into it. Okay, that's due diligence. If the cost is too high, they're going to back out. Okay, and apparently with regard to PG-13, there was 2 things that caused them to back out from what I read. One was him asking for an extension. That was the final straw. And the other one was they asked for Quentin Grimes. And I told you, the Knicks are not giving up Grimes for nobody. He's going to be their 50, 40, 90 guy. So he's going to be in that lineup. Plus, he's the best perimeter defender they got. So he's staying. So if Masai makes the same mistake, we move on. That's how that's going to work. Then you got another tier of 4s that are solid NBA pros. And they would not be taking anybody's minutes. They would not even be doing Obi's minutes. See, what y'all don't understand is if Tibbs goes with a 9-man rotation, Obi's minutes are already allocated. They're allocated at the 4 spot, as I mentioned, between Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Josh Hart. There's all Obi's minutes right there. Okay, so Obi's minutes are going to be eaten up in a 9-man rotation. If he was to get a 4, like a Grant Williams, we talked about that, who's now gone. He signed with Dallas. If they were to get a guy like that or in that level, then they would be able to now have 2 units of 5 men, which Tibbs doesn't normally do. But it would be something to force him because of the level of player he's getting. Some of y'all keep asking about Bobo. Forget Bobo. He's not available. You're not going to get, just because he played 70 games last year, he played 32, he played 7, and he played 14 in the previous 3 seasons. That's not available enough for a Tom Thibodeau. Some of y'all need to get real. That's not going to happen. Okay? Mo Bamba signed with Philly. So that's done too. See, we can stop all of that. Right now, they're looking at, now we're talking about Summer League. So Daquan Jeffries and Trevor Keels are on the Summer League team. They've been on the G League team. They're both in trouble for different reasons. As a unit together, they're in trouble because they're both that 6'4", 6'5" range. Okay? The Knicks got a ton of guys, 6'4", 6'5". We don't need any more guys at that level. Okay? As far as Daquan Jeffries, he's going to be 26 this year. I find, honestly, that he is an NBA player. He has NBA ability. He should be under a contract somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be with the Knicks, though, because of what I just said. They got a whole bunch of guys in that range. You're talking about IQ, Grimes, My man Dante DiVincenzo, and of course Josh Hart. You got a whole bunch of guys ahead of you in that range already, so they're not going to, add him to that miss. So he probably is out. So is Keels for the same reason. Although Keels is more of a prospect because of his youth, he's young, and so you might want to try to hang on to him. But I don't see it with the Knicks. They just brought in three guys: Isaiah Roby at 6'8", Khalid Moore out of Fordham at 6'7", okay, and Jaylen Martin at 6'6". Notice that. They're all what? Wings. All of them. Roby is really a power forward, but none of them are guards. Okay. And why? Because you can always use wings, and of course, because of the power forward situation, you might want to look for a backup power forward. Now, let's start with Jaylen Martin. Jaylen Martin went right from high school in Florida right to overtime elite. Make him a little money. He's only 19 years old. Okay. He's 19 and he's not going to be 20 until 2024. What does that mean? He's 6'6" right now. He's pure project. But because he can be molded, he's already played in overtime elite this past season. He was solid. He's solid, but he can still grow. So, if he goes to 6'7", 6'8", and then develops, you might have something. So that's not anything you need today. They're not going to put him on the bench to play right now. But that's 2 years from now. That's how you got to think. If you're the Don, that's how he does things. So he's got that kid on ice for 2 seasons. Then you got Khalid Moore, who's now 23. Khalid Moore, he was at Georgia Tech, transferred to Fordham. The thing about him is he plays with heart. He plays like he come from New York. He plays with heart, okay? And, the Knicks like that. He's 6'7". He's a slasher. He's a solid defender. He's got, some rough edges, but that's why they got him in the G League. Somebody that can be developed as a wing. You put him in for a year in the G League. Then you got Isaiah Roby. The thing about Roby is the best thing to me about him is his attitude. He is fundamentally sound. Fundamentally sound. He obviously can play in the NBA, right? Which makes him, good. You can't play in the NBA unless you're good. So he can play in the NBA. What level can he play at has been the question. He's been, most of his stats, if you look at his stats, like if you look at the highlights, what I notice when I watch highlights of a player, everybody puts the best highlights of the guys out, right? But what you want to notice in the highlights is when this guy is showing him scoring and hitting threes and dunking, look at the score. Usually his team is down 20 or 25, which means he's playing garbage time or he's part of the loss. Right? So you got to look at that. If you're looking at a score and his team is up in most of those highlights, well, that's good, right? But if he's down by 10, 20, 25 points, which is a lot of Isaiah Roby's highlights, then this is a guy that plays at garbage time, okay? Then you look at his stats, and his defensive stats are very solid. His offensive stats, I don't know. But I'm thinking at age 25, because he's fundamentally sound, he does very nice fundamentals in every area of the game. He just is not an elite at anything. But this, they got Dice working with him, Dice Yoshimoto working with him. And they've probably been working with him since they signed him this past spring. So you're going to see, what I'm interested to see in this summer league is how has he developed since the Knicks have gotten him. I'm expecting him to be the man among boys in the summer league, because he is fundamentally sound. He's got NBA experience. I'm expecting him to be the man among boys. Now, he wouldn't do that in the league, but this is not the league. This is summer league. So we're going to see how this works out. I'm interested to see him, especially because there could be a chance he's on the end of the bench. And if somebody gets hurt, if Julius gets hurt, what they'll do is they wouldn't start Roby. They would start RJ, somebody like that, the 4, and move Grimes or move Hart to the 3. And that's what they probably do in that scenario. And then you have Roby taking up that 15 minutes of overtime. at that point. But other than that, I don't see him getting a lot of time unless he has really developed since they picked him up. And that's, hard to do. But like I said, it's fundamentally sound kid. For $2 million, you're really getting to get a good tryout. He probably will be on somebody's NBA roster. He's an NBA player now, but he's a fringe player. So we will see how he has developed. I'm really interested myself to see the newer guys. I want to see Jaylen Martin. I want to see Khalid Moore. I want to see how they really perform in this summer league. I kind of already got enough of kilos. I've seen him. Not saying he's no scrub, but he's still young. He's got a lot to learn still. He's only 19, 20 himself. But again, the Knicks got a plethora of guys at 6'4". Then, of course, Daquan Jeffries has been around for a minute, but he's still 25, 26 this year. He's really, to me, playing for an NBA contract for another team because of his size. 6'5", there's a lot of guys on the Knicks at that size. He can help a team maybe, though, if he's on another squad. So we'll see what happens with him. But I'm really interested in Jaylen Martin and Khalid Moore. I want to see how they perform in this summer league. This is their first real taste of anything pro. So I want to see how they perform in the summer league. But at this point, the Knicks are doing very thorough due diligence. They're looking at options from the other teams like an OG Anunoby. They're looking at options in that second tier, like maybe a Grant Williams style option, maybe Christian Moore. I don't know. They're looking at these guys to see who would, may step in. Then, of course, they got an Isaiah Roby. That's somebody that probably wouldn't play a lot, like I said, but he'd be on the roster just if he's needed at the 4 spot. That's what we're talking about right here. Jaylen Martin, though, and Khalid Moore are future. And this is why I want to really see what they're looking like. We're talking about future with them. And I want to see if there's any, possibility. Martin, you can't really tell right now. He's obviously going to be a younger guy, somebody that they're going to have to develop. He can be really good or he can not. We don't know. But he's not the most athletic kid in the world, but he's still a kid. So let's see what he does over the next couple of seasons. So that's why we're talking about those guys. So this is why I'm interested really in seeing this summer league. I want to see what Roby looks like now. I want to see what Martin looks like, and I want to see what Khalid Moore looks like. Those 3 guys particularly. Because remember, they signed already Khalid Moore and they signed Jaylen Martin to G League contracts. So they're going to get rid of, or they're going to drop either Trevor Keels and or Daquan Jeffries. Somebody's not going. One of those 2 guys are not going to be on the roster come October. Maybe both of them, because you can hold 3 of the guys from the G League, but you can't hold 4. So most teams have 2. So we're going to see how this works out. But at this point, anything could happen. At this point, to me, RJ, if there's going to be a move made, it's RJ at this point. It's not going to be Jules. It's not going to be IQ. It's going to be RJ. If RJ is moved, then you're going to see an OG Anunoby starting at that spot. If RJ is kept, then they're going to go with the team that they now have, like we talked about yesterday. And they're going to have multiple players be able to play multiple positions, and that's how they're going to do it. So we'll find out, like I said, in the next next couple weeks. Definitely by August 1st, we'll know. But this is where we're at right now. But like I said, either way, if the Knicks were to get OG Anunoby and trade RJ Barrett, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that at all. But the Knicks would be 50 wins. If they keep RJ Barrett, the Knicks are going to be 50 wins. So that regard doesn't matter. What you're going to get again with OG Anunoby, he's not old by any stretch. OG's 25, going to be 26. So he's young, but he's going into his prime. He's got more present value than RJ has right now. RJ's future value. RJ's got upside. But if they move on an OG Anunoby, that's what you're going to see. Okay, that's what you're going to see. Anyway, y'all enjoy your Thursday. Be safe out there. Shalom.